Hi, it's Wyndham. What do you do when you don't know what to do? Well, if you're anything like me, you don't do anything. You sit there and you mull it over and you think, I just don't know what to do. I can't find my way through this. I don't know what to do. I'd love to do something, but I just don't know what to do. I don't even know if there's anything that I can do. I don't know what to do. So I don't do anything. It's a real issue, real challenge, because the one thing I can guarantee is if we don't do anything, nothing changes. And if where we find ourselves isn't where we want to be, then doing nothing isn't serving us. Great. So what do you do when you don't know what to do? I have a very strong feeling about this, a sense of it, a philosophy. It underpins a lot of how I coach, and it shapes a lot of the conversations I have with my clients, because everybody I work with is coming to me saying, I don't know what to do. I've reached this point in my life where I feel stuck, or I thought I would be happier, or there has to be more to life, or I'm disengaged, I'm disillusioned, I'm demotivated. I don't know what to do about that. And I've spent a long time thinking about this stuff because I was fixated on the doing as well. I got to a point where I was saying to people, I just don't know what else to do. I know I don't like what I've been doing. I do not like how it makes me feel. I do not like the day-to-day. There is nothing I really take from this other than a paycheck. I do not know what else I can do. I've been conditioned by 20 years in sales and the way our recruitment market works that I had no other experience. So it was like, well, there's nothing else you can do. And so I stagnated. But I didn't kind of maintain a stagnant position. It declined. It got worse and worse and worse and worse. Until eventually, I was absolutely certain I was going to be fired. Now, I've told this story before, but a boss at the time, he took me aside. He mimed taking his hat off. He said, for the next 30 seconds, I'm not your boss, I am your friend. And then he said to me, there are other things you can do. He might be putting his hat back on. And then he said, I can see you're struggling. How can I help? And in that moment where he told me there were other things I could do, I finally believed it. But I still didn't know what they were. You know, we're told we can do anything. Well, that's not very helpful because it doesn't narrow the field. So the biggest lesson I learned in this particular space is we have, and I don't use that word lightly, we have to separate the meaning from the mechanism. When we talk about doing, we are solely focused on mechanism. The things we do to create something else for ourselves. We spend no time thinking about the meaning, thinking about the deeper sense of ourselves that says, well, when I wake up in the morning, how do I want to feel? When somebody asks me the question, what do you do? How do I want to feel when they ask me that question? I spent all these years deflecting that question, saying, it's really boring. I write bids, very dull. Or for a while, my wife worked for a celebrity chef. When we were out and people were asking us what I did, I said, no, my job's very boring. You want to ask my wife. Much more interesting. I'd deflect. I don't do that anymore because I have got deeply connected to my meaning. And once I understood what it was I wanted to create in myself and for myself, a sense of being, a sense of feeling, then I could take that information and I could go into the world and I could seek out the mechanisms, the doing that created it. So if you are constantly telling yourself, I do not know what to do, You are starting at the end of the puzzle. You are trying to fit that final piece before you have fit everything else. Doesn't work. So when you do finally make a decision as to do something different, the chances of it being the right thing, you're leaving that to chance because you haven't done the work that gets you connected to how you want to be. So, if you are someone who has been saying, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck, press pause on the doing. We can deal with that later. In order to make that choice, when you finally take a step into doing, into the mechanism, in order to make that meaningful, we have to get clear on the meaning. What are we trying to create for ourselves? And again, this is not mechanism. I'm not trying to create a house, for example, if I'm a builder. What am I trying to do? Well, maybe I'm trying to create shelter. Maybe I'm trying to create safety. Maybe I'm trying to create a unit of inclusion. I don't know. It is always deeper than the material, than the doing, than the physical side of it. Those are always just mechanisms. And all of our mechanisms, everything that we do, we have a choice as to whether it is in service of something deeper, if it is in service of a meaning we are trying to create. I leave you with that. Where in your life are you stuck trying to figure out the mechanism, trying to figure out the doing, and have no idea about the meaning you are trying to create? I promise you, when we do that hard work on the meaning, suddenly the options narrow dramatically, because we can very quickly go, well, actually, that isn't going to create that meaning for me. I don't like anything about that. Let's ignore that. Let's move on and start narrowing our options. If this is something you've been struggling with for a very long time, let's have a chat, because if you don't change it, nothing changes. I leave you with that. I wish you a joyful and peaceful few days, and may all challenges that you face be surmountable.